have checked the audio levels before we started streaming, but now we're here.
Are we streaming? Wait, are we live now?
Yes.
Are we? Oh! I should stop. I should stop writing boobs in the chat then.
No, do it more.
Oh wait. Now it's okay. We're live. We're streaming. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Stu. We're gonna talk about Rick and Morty season 4. The appropriate place to start doing it.
Yeah. We're going to start by Yeah. This is going to be a very organised discussion. We're going to start by talking about episodes 4, and then 7 and 8, and we're going to go around it in that order.
I think it's safe to say that everyone has probably been having a bit of a tiring time recently for whatever reasons it may be affecting us or you personally in the chat. I'm speaking to you specifically, Derek. Do you think there's anyone?
Yeah, we can see you, Derek. We're looking out of the screen at you.
Say someone else's name. Freak them out.
Mildred.
I will be shocked if there's really a Mildred here.
This always happens whenever you ask me to think of a name, any name, or think of a place, any place. I always think of the most obtuse one possible that's never going to happen.
Think of a place.
Yeah, we're looking at you, Reginald.
Where is Reginald located?
Reginald is in Nigeria.
That's a place that people are. Like you could
That's a place that people are. What's wrong with my brain?
I feel like there aren't. I don't know much about Nigeria or Nigerian culture, but I'm guessing there aren't many Nigerians called Reginald. I don't know though.
Possibly not. Okay, Reginald in Nigeria. Please write in the chat now.
I would be fucking freaked out if I was called Reginald watching this in Nigeria.
Oh god, no! I've seeded that idea now. Someone somewhere is gonna start a YouTube channel calling themselves Reginald and say, "Hi, I'm Reginald from Nigeria."
Someone make a YouTube account called Reginald from Nigeria.
Do that because it would be funny to think that my jokes spark these improvisational moments when in fact it's all planned.
If you're one of those people who hasn't named their YouTube account and it's just it's just like, you know, the default profile picture and your real name, and you I could change that. Name yourself Reginald from Nigeria.
Yeah, and then send us a chat, and then we'll be like, "Oh, look at that! Stuart's joke worked." So anyway, let's talk about Rick and Morty.
Well, I think what I was saying before that tangent kind of derailed it was that we're all quite tired. It's been a
serious time to talk.
It's been a time recently, so we're probably going to be. I mean, I know I'm certainly going to be a bit scatterbrained on this, which may result in many things, but specifically long and weird tangents, like that one about Reginald from Nigeria.
Yes, and I will not be helpful in any way whatsoever because my brain got broken years ago.
Oh, the only kind of help that I would ask you to give is to commit further to the tangents, so to further derail the conversation.
Keep them going as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is a Reginald in Nigeria, please contact us right now.
Yeah.
Oh look, someone's done it.
Wait.
Regiland from Nigeria. Hi.
Hello, Regiland. Regiland is a rebel, I guess. Or maybe this is a real person.
There's more of them. Make this a meme. Please make this a meme because one thing that I really want to happen is one day I want to just be browsing YouTube and be scrolling through the comment section.
And see Reginald from Nigeria?
And just randomly see something that I've come up with, like Reginald from Nigeria, or writing boobs with 8s instead of B's or something.
I want to see this. Do your Twitters as well?
Yes, I've made it.
Do your Twitters as well if you're one of those people who's not committed to a Twitter name. We wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask you to, if you've got an account name that you actually use and care about. I wouldn't ask you to change that. But
hang on, I'm going to rename myself Reginald from Nigeria, just briefly. Anyway, shall we talk about the thing that we're supposed to be talking about?
Yeah, sure. Like, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah, talk about things. So yeah, Rick and Morty series 4. It was all right, wasn't it?
It was okay. So
I have
overall,
literally just changed my Twitter handle to Reginald from Nigeria for the record.
beautiful.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
so Rick and Morty series 4. It was all right, wasn't it?
yeah, my opening statement on it would be that it like completely fucks up any semblance of continuity between episodes. We don't have a status quo anymore.
No, we
They're
don't.
all very self-contained stories, and there's no real, essentially world building, character building beyond the story at hand, which makes you lose the sort of sense of connection to the characters as you're watching the stories. But the stories themselves are some of the best standalone stories the show has to offer so far.
As a whole, it doesn't work. As individual episodes, it does. As I think you can, I think you can, I think a lot of that is to comes down to the fact that it was split in two.
Yeah.
That we have 5 episodes then and 5 episodes now.
Most of these are all great episodes to catch as reruns on Adult Swim in 2029 after the collapse of the Earth.
Which will definitely happen by then.
Oh, it'll be long gone. It'll be long done by then.
If it hasn't happened already.
So yeah, do you feel the same way then? That essentially you've got basically nothing on the status quo front.
No, not really. Although I'm not sure whether that's intentional or not, because last season they tried to do sort of long running. They tried to do this long running building of different character dynamics with Jerry and Beth got divorced, and but that didn't really add that much to it, and then at the end of the series they just reset it again.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're doing it deliberately.
the seasons that got it right were seasons 1 and 2, where they didn't have some overarching story going on in the background. What they just had was a status quo that they very clearly established. You knew what the family dynamic was like because you saw it all the time. You saw life operating as normal in the Smith household, which you don't really see anymore. Most of Rick and Morty season 4's episodes start in the story already. You don't get to see you don't get to see normal life anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a shame.
In season 1, the B stories would normally deal with normal life, and normal life would generally take a while to get derailed by the sci-fi shenanigans.
Yeah, whereas it's kind of settled back into normal life is there, but it's like it's mostly just Jerry that's interested in it, and he's always the butt of the joke.
Yeah, oh, I hate this season for what it did to Jerry.
Yeah, I think that Jerry should leave Beth next season.
Yeah, I'd be up for that. I think Jerry should just get something to fucking do.
Yeah, I think I kept watching throughout the series, and so many of the characters delivering the "Isn't Jerry pathetic" speeches over and over again, and I just kept on thinking, Jerry deserves better than this.
He's reached a point where he is nowhere near as bad as all the rest of the characters make him out to be. Like, in season 1, he was a bit wimpy and pathetic, and he got flack for the genuine things that he did. In this season, he's sort of Meg.
Yeah.
Where everyone just hates him because he's there, and that's what they do.
He has been turning into Meg a little bit, but it's like I love Jerry. Jerry's my favourite character in Rick and Morty by far, because he's boring and pathetic, yes, but it's the only reason for that is because he is completely out of place in that family.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that it would be great if Jerry left Beth, because, frankly, I think the main thing that matters from that is Jerry makes a decision. He is given autonomy and drive to do something. That's what needs to happen with his character next.
I can see seeds of that happening, because in episode 5, the one where he can float, and like he's flying through the sky all episode, and he's trying to figure out a way to get down without having to get Rick's help. He does manage to get himself down in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs
So,
autonomy.
and that was quite nice. And in episode 9, where he teaches the rejects from Rick and Beth's society, he teaches them like hunter gatherer skills and camping, and it's like he's a good guy. He's
Yeah.
boring and wimpy and pathetic, and like he's just a typical suburban dad, really,
Yeah.
who like gets overexcited at barbecues because all like, oh, I get to make a fire.
He seems like
It's
a
like,
genuinely nice guy.
yeah, he's pathetic, but he deserves better.
Of all the roster, he's the one I'd probably just most like to spend time with because he's not a cunt. You know, he's just a normal dude who he seems to genuinely have quite a kind heart, but he's, you know, really cowardly and struggles to stick up for himself, which doesn't do well with any of the other characters that he interacts with in the show.
Yeah, although that's the thing. If they change that, then that might kind of fuck with the formula and like why I find Jerry so endearing. But it's just a shame that he's not in it as much as he used to be.
Yeah, honestly though, I think that formula is something that you can only do for so long if you want your show to be serialized. If you're going to do,
Yeah,
well, what they did in this season essentially, which is just an anthology of the same characters, although we don't even know they're the same characters because any one of these episodes could be set in a different universe and we wouldn't know. Um, and if they want to do an anthology with just different characters, then yeah, having you want clear dynamics that don't really change for that. But if you're serializing it, if you're making an ongoing story with character arcs and characters who grow, keeping Jerry as the butt of everyone else's jokes for the whole time has to go somewhere. You can't just keep, it has to go to either consequences for him of, he's gonna take it to heart. He's gonna get worse. He's gonna, people aren't cut out to be shat on all the time. He's gonna have some kind of arc out of that, and the arc has just sort of been swept under the rug to make jokes about him.
yeah, they're sort of not there yet. I mean, like that episode. Which episode was it where he's doing beekeeping?
Oh fuck.
Like, I can't remember which episode it was, but in that episode, literally the only thing about Jerry is, okay, we can't think of anything to do with him this episode. Let's just have him doing beekeeping.
Have you been sticking around for the end credit scenes, by the way?
Yes, I have been sticking around for the end credit scenes, and there was the end credit scene where Summer and her friend are watching Jerry doing beekeeping in the back garden.
That's my favourite of all of them. Just, you know what the joke is. You know exactly what the joke is going to be. But they hold off from making the joke for so long that the second she just turns to Summer and says, Summer, I want to fuck your dad. It's
Yeah.
You can't hold it in. It's just the funniest shit.
Yeah, this season, to its credit, it's choppy this season. It's as you said, it's like lots of standalone episodes, but some of it, I think it does have some of the best jokes that they've written.
Yeah, this is the probably the funniest season of Rick and Morty.
Yeah, like season 1 is like astonishing and so endearing, and it's got some of their best ideas in it. But this season has got some of the best jokes, I'd say.
Honestly, I think the best way to watch Rick and Morty season 4 is to rearrange the episodes and scatter them throughout the other seasons in order. Because, this season doesn't have the overarching character work to make you as invested in the people as the other ones do. So if you just take the story train, stick it halfway through season 2, you've got what I think would probably be a more enjoyable episode just on by virtue of the context that it's situated in.
Yeah, because that is season 4's problem. It's good, but it doesn't really drive the show forward.
Yeah. I think all of the episodes except episode 9. Oh, no, sorry, the finale, not episode 9. I don't know why I said episode 9. All of them work better as standalones and as and would work better in the context of a different season of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
I don't think a single. I mean, in season 3, you have the second episode is basically all the character decisions are driven by the fact that Beth and Jerry just split up. Even though it's its own story, that's very transparently what's going on. All of the characters are making decisions. They're acting out because of the shit that's going on. None of that in this season. So, like, what is actually going on in their lives? I'm unclear, but this is a cool adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember being a bit disappointed that the divorce arc literally just sort of got resolved as in, oh, they're back together now.
Yeah, and there's almost no reason to resolve it for this season. Like, you don't have to make huge changes to what happens in this season to have Beth and Jerry split up, and then it would feel like more of a consequence. If they were still split up now, you'd be going, "Oh, is this just a permanent thing? Are they just is this You could even fucking see Jerry like get a new girlfriend or something that isn't a throwaway joke.
Yeah, and just move on with his life because I like the contrast between the normality and the insane sci-fi stuff. Because as I said, Jerry is not pathetic. He's just an ordinary middle-class man who's completely out of place with all this stuff. So I think it'd be really cool to see Jerry leave Beth, leave all of this crazy sci-fi shit behind, and just go off and live his life.
Yeah. And then he can be the B-plot occasionally when some sci-fi shit catches up with him.
Yeah, when some sci-fi shit catches up with him, he's like, "Oh God, I'm being sucked back into this again, but I've moved on and I don't want to do this anymore." Or like maybe in Jerry's new life with his new girlfriend, he get like his new girlfriend, someone in her family has a crazy sci-fi life as well.
I like the idea, yeah, and I like the idea of Jerry getting sucked back into it by like, oh, I don't know, this Rick has hidden a USB drive, but he wouldn't use a USB drive. He's Rick inside Jerry because no one would think to look for it there. So he has to take Jerry. So he goes and drags Jerry away on this wacky adventure because he just needs the files that he's kept in Jerry. That's the kind of thing that would bring Jerry back into it.
Yeah, because one of my favourite scenes in all of Rick and Morty is that one from Whirly Durly Conspiracy in season 3, where Jerry's asleep. He's left him and Beth are split up. He's asleep, and Rick just sort of bursts into his apartment. And he's just like, "Okay, Jerry, we're going on an adventure now." And he's like, "No."
I love that one as well. Yeah, that's Whirly Durly Conspiracy is potentially it's one of the strongest episodes in the series.
Yeah, one of the strongest episodes in the show, I'd say.
Because of the strength of Jerry's character, which is very wasted in this season.
Yeah, although he does have some really strong plot. He does have some really strong B plots, though. Like, I love the Talking Cat one.
Oh yeah, the Talking Cat one was brilliant.
Which episode is that? Again, this season, I have a hard time placing where bits that I like are.
Fuck, which one was it? Chat, don't tell us. I have no idea, actually. Channel 4 as Rick and Morty in the UK, person in chat. No, I'm genuinely not sure.
Or YouTube. I've bought all of season 4 on YouTube.
It wasn't the dragon one, was it?
I don't think so. This is the problem with Rick and Morty as well, that we were talking before we started about how the titles are just sort of random and sometimes have fuck all to do with the episode, but that makes it quite hard to actually find which episode is which.
Yeah, very much. Okay, so let's say
sometimes they're identifiable, like the Vat of Acid episode.
I love that title so much.
I love that title as well. But sometimes it's like the Ricturian Morty dates, and I'm just like, what is that?
That's the season 3 finale, I think.
Yeah, and it's a sort of play on the Manchurian Candidate.
Kinda. I mean, it's they take a movie title, put Rick and Morty's names in it, and you got it. See, the finale this season was called Star Mort's Rick-turn of the Jerry.
It's like they don't give a fuck with these titles.
Exactly. I like By the way,
It's sort of like it's the opposite approach to the Big Bang Theory's titles, because the Big Bang Theory, their episodes are all like really complicated sci-fi really complicated science terms, which actually do relate to the plots of the episode. But at the same time, when you're reading those titles, you got fucking no idea which episode that is.
yeah. But going back to Jerry actually getting a respectable arc, I like the idea that then in season 5 he would slowly move back into the Smith family, not because he's getting back with Beth or anything, because there are his kids, and he slowly gets more and more involved with the family as the divorce gets less recent, and I don't know, I just really want them to actually do Jerry justice.
Yeah, I like the idea of like his reluctant involvement with all the sci-fi bollocks.
Yeah, exactly that. Because he would be so done with it when he got out.
Yeah, because like that's one of the things that I found most endearing about episode 9, the planet fucking one, where he just wanted to have a nice camping weekend with his kids, and his kids don't want to spend time with him, so he ends up raising like the cast-offs from Rick's new society.
I do like the idea as well that Jerry would occasionally come to Rick with with requests, and that's another way to get Jerry involved. Have I know they actually already did this in the show, but something along the lines of Jerry comes up to Rick going, I wouldn't ask unless I felt I needed to, but I really want your help with something. I want to impress my girlfriend. I was hoping you could make ovenless brownies.
Yeah, like something like that.
I panicked because I told her I could do it, but I realized I never did that. It was you who did that. Now I need the ovenless brownie recipe so that I don't embarrass myself in front of my girlfriend.
Just something pathetic and small scale.
Yeah, something exactly that. Something very Jerry, but the show takes a shit on the existing character that is Jerry rather than just telling Jerry he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. Like something that comes straight from Jerry rather than from Rick's view of Jerry. Yeah, that's the thing. I think they're kind of buying their own hype with Rick.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah,
they're buying their own hype. That they the same goes with the finale as well. They believe that you're going to be invested in it because they've sort of told you that you will be. I think with all of these characters coming back, but I mean. What is a character trait that Bird Person has? He's loyal, I think.
I mean, well, he's a one-joke character, really. He's a Bird Person, and he talks as in, "Hello, I am Bird Person." Yeah, he's a very improvisational character, I'd say.
Yeah.
He's almost like something that you would see someone improvising on the spot.
Yeah, he feels like a character that was improvised on the spot, and they made him an important character, which I like. I like it when the show does that. It is a very Rick and Morty thing to do, to take like such a stupid concept and just run with it. And this is actually something that is like deep within the lore now. But I think we've spent enough time essentially shitting on the structure of the whole season, because we've been quite negative on it so far, but it does deliver some of the greatest standalone episodes that the show has to offer. I'd say if you're going to show someone their first Rick and Morty episode to try and get them into the show, a lot of your top choices are going to be from this series.
Oh yeah, totally. But then again, I'm thinking about it. The ones that I really like this series, like the train one, Never Rick and Morty, and the Vat of Acid episode. I mean, a lot of both of those do have a lot to do with like my relationship having already been established with these characters.
Yeah.
Like the Vat of Acid episode is in particular, which is one of my favorite episodes of the show overall, I'd say, because I was so invested in Morty wanting to prove to Rick that he's actually got good ideas, and Rick's ideas haven't been so great recently. Like that has a lot to do with subverting the dynamic that we were already that we already had established. Like Rick comes up with all these crazy ideas all the bloody time, and now Morty wants to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I mean, yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, Vat of Acid is a deep cut, I'd say.
That sigh was me realizing, oh right, I've this is a scatterbrain moment. I have nothing to just say. I'm like, open my mouth. I'm like, oh, why did I do that? What was I gonna say?
I do that all the time. Take your time.
Thank you very much. And we agreed, by the way, that I feel like, okay, let's go episode by episode now, and we agreed before the stream that to be deliberately obtuse, we would start with episode 4.
Okay, episode 4. That was the one with the talking cat.
I think so. It was definitely the one with the dragons.
Yeah, the one with the dragons as well. Oh yeah, while we're on episode 4, it's weird. I've been watching this on YouTube, and it's really weird watching Rick and Morty with no bleeps.
You see, I've got that on my home copies, so I took that plunge a while before you did. But yeah, it was weird the first time.
It's just so strange to hear like the bunch of dragons going, "Hello, we are the dragons. We suck, fuck, and eat butt." And I'm just like, I'm watching Rick and Morty here.
It's something they. I was surprised when I first saw the uncensored ones.
What would this episode even sound like censored? I should probably watch it again.
Honestly, I think depending on which joke it is at the time, sometimes the censor can make it funnier.
Yeah, sometimes. That, and I've mentioned to you before that I've kind of grown to appreciate the bleeps because when I was watching it with bleeps, I could imagine that Rick is using like alien swear words that we don't have in our language.
Yes, and now that's gone.
I mean, I know they've used that as a joke before, but
what up, my glip glops?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, glip glops.
I think that's the only time they've done it. I'm not sure. No, I could. To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if you showed me a clip of him doing it again. But that's the only time I remember.
But yeah, okay. So Claw and Hoarder, the dragon one. Yeah, I suppose I'd kind of agree with you here that this is one of the ones that if you were trying to get someone into Rick and Morty, this is one of the ones you'd show them. I think.
Maybe this. I think.
Well, maybe. I mean, not the first. Like early on in the.
It has some of the least high concept stuff of any Rick and Morty episode, I think. This is just very much we want to have fun for a while, so we're fucking about.
Oh yeah, totally, with like Jerry and the talking cat.
Yeah, well, the talking cat is a bit higher concept, I think. Like it's this weird play on like mystery boxes where you don't find out what the really horrible answer is.
Oh yeah, I love that ending.
And it's something that somehow both disgusts Rick and Jerry, which that's a very narrow Venn diagram.
I think this is one of the best B stories.
It is. It's a great B story.
Like every time they cut to the talking cat, and the talking cat is like taking Jerry to Florida and taking him to parties with loads of drugs and women. It's just like. I love that. I love that entire plot, and you're just like, where the fuck is this going?
Yeah, and the fact that you never really find out makes it so much better. It's like, you never get told the cat's motivations, you never get told why it was even there in the first place, and why it went, Jerry, I needed to book a flight to Florida, don't ask questions. And you never find out why, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, like, why is Jerry never... Why are none of these episodes... Like as I said earlier, like, I think that they're kind of buying the hype over Rick a bit much. Why has Jerry never got his own episode for like 20 minutes?
Like, yeah, I want that.
Like there are episodes where we're dedicated entirely to Rick and Morty for 20 minutes. We've never had one for Jerry.
I'm sorry. When you said why doesn't Jerry get an episode of his own for 20 minutes, the first thing that popped into my head was the BoJack Horseman episode that is entirely. I don't want to give BoJack Horseman spoilers because we're not here to talk about it, but it's the episode that is entirely a monologue delivered by BoJack to camera, essentially. I immediately picture them doing that for Jerry.
I want to see that.
Yes, I want to see that now as well. It's such a Rick and Morty thing to do.
Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland, if you're watching, please do that.
It is such It would be such an oddball move, but it's because Rick and Morty is quite experimental. It would be great if they could
I
find
want,
a script that justified that. It would be an amazing script.
like Jerry telling his life story.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he's canonically been through some shit.
Yeah, Jerry telling his life story, and it's completely straight-faced and completely normal up until the point where Rick arrives.
And you got to have some funnies in there, but to keep the normies watching.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, but just very low level.
Yeah, so like even shit going on in the background. I'm imagining this is like something that he's filmed himself. Why are we? This is turning into Jay and Stu write a whole season of Rick and Morty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think we're still kind of in that phase because we did spend like 4.5 hours planning that season of Doctor Who.
Do you want to do that stream at some point?
Yeah, that's probably an idea.
Yeah,
But yeah, we should talk about season 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I vastly preferred the B story of Jerry and the talking cat to the
Yeah.
Morty and Rick in this World of Dragons thing.
It's much more food for thought, Rick and Morty kind of stuff. It's like we've got some stuff that actually is food for thought here, but we're going to use it to fuck around and tell like, lowbrow jokes, which is what Rick and Morty is all about.
Yeah.
Then,
Although I did quite like the idea that Rick just hates magic.
yeah, I like that. It's very in character for
I do
him.
like all those jokes about magic versus science.
But
Which I think they could have used that actually to undercut the hype of Rick a bit, because as I said, I think that they're buying into Rick's hype a bit. But they could have used the science versus magic thing to undercut Rick a bit, because Rick is all talking about, oh my god, science is amazing, and I'm so much smarter than the rest of you. I think this episode could have been used to, take Rick down a peg or two.
personality-wise, Rick gets a lot of blows this season. Is like this season really likes to remind you that Rick's a piece of shit. But ability-wise, yeah, he generally comes out on top. He's the most successful character, but he's not portrayed as he's portrayed at his least virtuous and his most successful in this season, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see Rick fail.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. He sort of fails in the poop episode, in the toilet episode.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. So the slut dragon plot is essentially, you could see this in any other adult animated cartoon that has that is R-rated and would do that kind of thing. Well, you would see this from any other cartoon that would do that kind of thing. Yeah, self-fulfilling, but you know what I mean. This is the least uniquely Rick and Morty thing I think they've ever done. It's just, here is a generic adult cartoon plot. They go to a magic land. There are loads of horny dragons there, and they team up with the horny dragons to defeat the oppressive overlords.
Hang on a sec. Chat keeps on telling me that Rick failed in lots of episodes. Yeah, I know. All right, he did do some fairness. I'm talking in terms of like abilities to like invent things.
Well, so he just can't invent some. Oh, that would be. James write a season of Rick and Morty. Rick tries to invent something relatively simple by the standards of what he has invented in the show before, and he can't do it, and he obsesses over it, and that's the plot.
Well, yeah, because in the Vat of Acid episode, that's essentially what that is, but he does succeed in the end.
Yeah, well, the Vat of Acid episode isn't. I think he has every ability to do. I don't think he ever lacks ability in that episode.
Yeah. Sorry. Back to the dragons.
The dragons.
I dragged us off foot.
Let's drag us back on. Dragon. Puns. Reginald from Nigeria. I don't see any Reginalds from Nigeria in chat currently.
Oh, that's a shame.
We've got to fix that. I mean, it's a funny episode, but it is just funny. It's At least the A plot. It's quite generic, adult cartoon A plot, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree there. Yeah, the main notable thing about it is just the talking cat bit.
Yeah. Um, it's there's nothing wrong with it really, but it's one of the weaker stories that episodes as a whole that the show has to offer this season, I think. Right.
Yeah, the other one. I think the weakest one this season though is the crew one,
Which one?
the heist one.
Should we do that next?
Yeah, let's do the heist one next. Yeah, because I kind of drifted in and out of this episode. I won't lie. My attention span's not that good anyway. But
I think this is the only episode they use almost entirely as just a vessel by which to deliver jokes, which is very very out of character for a Rick and Morty episode. This is all just like, hey, we don't like heist movies, and we're gonna parody heist movies for 20 minutes.
yeah, this episode was more like a South Park episode than a Rick and Morty episode. I think, and that's not a slight on South Park for the record, but it was kind of just one joke done over again.
Let's see chat's opinion of the heist one.
Yeah, tell us what to think. Hi, chat.
Give us a few words and an out of 10 for the heist one.
Say yes or no.
Someone said the weakest one was the train episode, and no. Like, just no.
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 Yeah, tell us what to think, chat. That's what YouTube's for. You know, type in something that you either like or don't like, and then the YouTuber says yes or no for 25 minutes.
Yeah. Tell us something you like, and we'll tell you if you're a bad person.
Yeah, I just, as I said, I drifted in and out of the heist episode because I could just see them making pretty much the same joke over and over again for 20 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, hey, aren't heist movies convoluted?
It was like Vindicators, really. I'm less into the Rick and Morty episodes where they don't really have a B story.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that format-wise, because I don't see any reason why an episode needs to have a B story to function.
Yeah,
but maybe it is. Maybe it does do that.
Just in this case, I felt like it was the same joke.
It was, yeah. It was, and it was very similar to Vindicators in its, hey, let's take a pop culture movie staple and roast it for 20 minutes with no B story.
Yeah,
but
although at least in Vindicators, that was, trying to say something about this, about Rick being so overly powerful, but also being a piece of shit.
Well, they did that in this as well.
Yeah,
but to a lesser extent. Rick
but
at the end of this
it's kind of like I know that by now.
Yeah, that's true. Rick pulls out Rick sabotages Morty's ambitions in this one. Sort of very rock opera kind of a move to pull.
Yeah, true, yeah.
And it's sort of like, hey, remember how Rick is a dick? And you're like, yes, I do.
And that keeps happening. It's like I get that by this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that now it's like you don't need an episode to point out that Rick is a dick. You need to incorporate the fact that Rick is a dick just into the story, and because we know now, you don't need to point it out. But
like as you said, the season 4 doesn't really have that much of an arc to it. It's
not at all.
Just a cluster of episodes.
Yeah, and the heist episode is essentially, hey, we want to make fun of how convoluted heist movies are, so they made a convoluted story of their own, but it had jokes in it. It was essentially it.
Yeah.
And
do you think maybe the fact that so many more episodes have been commissioned now that they know that these are going to be shown in syndication, like people are just going to catch repeats of it.
Maybe this did feel so much more like it was written to be caught on repeat. This feels like the season that gets written to license off to whatever channel so they can play them out of order.
They've been commissioned for like 100 episodes now, haven't they? Yeah, so maybe they're ditching series arcs now.
I don't know. I don't know because they did do the thing this season. They did. It seems like they tried to have a season arc at the end, but it was all plot rather than character for the first time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because now that they've been commissioned up to episode 100, now maybe they are thinking they just need to put together lots of standalone episodes which are quite solid. Some of them will work, some of them won't.
it's the time for them to experiment.
Because it's not like we'd say BoJack Horseman, which is made with the explicit purpose of it being binge watched every episode,
Yeah,
all in one go.
yeah. I mean, that is the way to watch BoJack Horseman
Well, yeah, because
if you're healthy.
because there is a distinct difference between between a show that is made to be binge watched on a streaming service and a show which is made to be broadcast in syndication with and like people are going to be flicking through channels and catching repeats occasionally.
Yeah, and this is peak season for that.
And that's what season 4 is, and that's why I think that's why it feels weird to me, because you don't really get cartoons like that anymore.
Yeah, it's certainly not for Rick and Morty because
it's still on the air, but
certainly for Rick and Morty, which has already established itself as not that.
Yeah.
But I think that's basically it for the heist episode. It's like it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's not very much food for thought. It's just like its point is, hey, heist movies are shit, which is it's fine. It's a fine episode of television that if you want to kill 20 minutes and maybe laugh along the way, this will do that.
Yeah, I mean that's most of this season. Really.
Which in any other show, well, not in any other show, but in a lot of other shows, I'd be like, yeah, that's a quality episode of the show. But for Rick and Morty, it's subpar, I think.
Yeah.
Then we have what? Let's do completely out of order to be obtuse. Which one do you want to do next?
Let's talk about the train one. You like the train one?
I do like the train one. This is my favorite episode of Rick and Morty. Now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was written for me. It's all about. It's all about really making fun of writing tropes and conventions as literary devices. I love it.
Yes, I do love it. It's as we said earlier, this does have some of the strongest joke writing in the season, and yeah, one of my favourite sequences is the Morty writes a story that passes the Bechdel test.
Yes, as you would not get jokes about the Bechdel test 5 years ago in a mainstream animated show.
Yeah, and I love that I love that we're now getting it, and we're now getting that is what a horny 15-year-old kid would write.
Yeah.
If he was trying to write something, if he was trying to write a story that would pass the Bechdel test.
And essentially, just when his prompt is write a story that passes the Bechdel test, he's like, oh, okay, so there are women. They are like, hi, you're a woman. I'm a woman.
Yes, I'm a woman too. I need to talk to you about my special time.
So yeah, and that's
just like just like it's so dumb, and I know that, and like I know how immature and childish I am to be laughing at lines like "Your special time is your power; it makes you strong." Like
yes.
That could actually be a direct quote from J.K. Rowling.
It could.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very topical.
Yeah.
She released a whole thing of clarifying her position on what she believes, and I can't be bothered to read it, but I might at one point.
Me neither. Who cares?
If I ever plan on addressing her again, then I will read it. But if not, then I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh, and I love the ending where they get called up by Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
And she just says, "I'm that Supreme Court lady."
And all of this is.
I loved it. Just when I watched that sketch, my immediate thought was, I really hope that Ruth Bader Ginsburg watches Rick and Morty and hears herself being described as that Supreme Court lady.
So, this episode exists essentially in a unique cultural time in that we are more aware on a pop culture level. Just general people are more aware of writing and writing tropes and conventions and the names for them and how we deconstruct them than ever before because of the whole YouTube analysis thing, which has made this stuff appealing to what not a mainstream audience but not a niche audience anymore.
Well, yeah, because YouTube has clearly, and social media has clearly played a massive part in Rick and Morty's popularity, and they will be aware of that.
Yeah, you have deconstructions of stuff like Rick and Morty, from the that may even mention stuff like the Bechdel test, and some of them will have millions of views. This isn't just your niche nerds thing to do anymore. And this episode is very aware of that, and every joke is about a writing trope. One of my favorite jokes in this is where I can't even remember the context anymore. Something bad happens to Morty, and then he gets pulled back in the train, and he's panicking, and Rick goes, "Don't worry, Morty, that wasn't canon."
Oh yeah, that was great.
It's such a fucking... It's so self-aware of the culture that exists in this episode.
Yeah, I love how what's the word I'm looking for? Informal Rick and Morty is.
Yeah.
That's what I've always loved about it. The idea, because it's always played like the insane ramblings of a bunch of children on a playground, but it's written by incredibly smart people.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and this episode was very much like that.
Oh, hang on. Keep entertaining the chat. I've ruined my headphones and can't talk to you. I can't hear you even.
Hello, chats. How are you all doing this
better.
Fine evening?
It's better. How did it go?
Yeah. I said words, and I'm eating an Oreo.
Did you violate TOS?
No, I didn't.
Well, you missed your opportunity now.
Oh, I should have done that. Anyway, yeah, I'd say. What were we talking about? Fuck.
The episode, I think, the last thing I remember at least is that the episode is very aware of the culture it exists in, of pop media analysis.
Yeah, as I said, this was peak like informal Rick and Morty. It's sort of plays like a couple of children improvising shit on a playground, but it's written by very smart people who are very aware of how stories work.
And yeah, the premise is literally that they are inside a narrative device that they have to deconstruct from the inside to figure out what's going on. They walk through hearing all these different stories, go, "Oh, we're in a sort of anthology? What's happening?"
It was a very interesting and different approach to an anthology to, Morty's Mind Blowers and Interdimensional Television.
Yeah. Oh, that was what this episode was, wasn't it? It was the sketch one.
It was the anthology one.
Yeah, I didn't even realise, because it was so organically done.
Yeah.
This, by the way, is my top pick for... Well, actually, I was going to say this is my top pick for introducing people to Rick and Morty, but some of the jokes at the end would kind of be lost when they joke about how their show's potential. They defeat the story villain by ruining the story that they're in. By becoming a preachy Christian show.
Yeah, and this one as well. Yeah, preachy Christian show. Yeah, and this one as well. This one didn't have a B story, but it had a lot more going on than. Yeah, like the heist one, this didn't have a B story, but it did have a lot more going on.
Do the anthologies normally have B stories? Interdimensional Cable.
No.
Did it?
Interdimensional Cable. Interdimensional Cable was mostly sketches mixed in with.
Well, I guess it was sketches and an A story.
Yeah, sketches and an A story.
And this is sketches and an A story as well, in that sense. I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, this season does have some of the best jokes in it. I love that ending where Rick is saying, "No, Marty, you bought something," That is
Yes.
100%, that is the point of life, and you think that he's just being an asshole, but he's taking it so seriously and over the top. I just love it.
No, the fucking joke that got me in that bit was where he's like, "It's important that you consume, Morty. No one's out there buying anything because that fucking virus." Like, when did they put
Yeah.
this in? This is great. That must have been a last minute addition.
Yeah, must have been. Yeah.
And it's just topping it off with a satire of the fucking people are going, the world's ending. What about the economy, though?
Yeah.
So do you wanna hear a joke?
That-
It's not mine, but do you want to hear a joke?
Okay, go on.
So there's a dinosaur about 65 million years ago, and it looks up in the sky and it sees a meteor heading for the Earth, and it says, "Oh no, the economy."
I think I have seen that one on Twitter somewhere. So yeah,
Well, it was kind of you to laugh anyway.
it is still funny. Yeah. Speaking of stuff that I could see it coming. Can we talk about the Vat of Acid episode next?
Uh, yeah, sure.
Unless you have more stuff to say about the train one.
The train one is very well done as well, in that every sketch pushes the narrative forward as well. None of them in this are just sketches for their own sake. Each one progresses the narrative as like, which is must have been insanely difficult to write.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
An anthology where I mean, that's how you want to structure an entire season of the show, really.
Yeah, it's like every bit of it feels random, but it's not.
Yeah, it's something. It's great. This episode is fucking great. Watch this. If you don't not watch the season, watch this episode alone. It's amazing, and also the next one we're about to talk about. The Vat of Acid episode. Sorry, go on.
So just I was saying, if you like this episode, one show that I recommend, which is also Adult Swim, is the Shivering Truth.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's this claymation animated. It's sort of like lots of really disturbing sketch things which sort of feel improvised, and it's just, like this episode, it feels random, but you realise that there is some kind of structure and method to the madness, and as said, it's very disturbing. But yeah, Shivering Truth, recommend that.
I'm gonna have to check that out because Morty Train is my favourite fucking episode of the show.
Well, I mean, Shivering Truth is horror, very much horror, and very fucking disturbing. But it's like I said, method to the madness. That's what made me have that connection in my head there. Anyway, Vat of Acid episode.
The Vat of Acid episode is another one of those fucking phenomenal standalone stories. It's brutal.
Oh yeah, totally. This is proper like Seventh Doctor and Ace type setup here, I'd say.
This is, I mean, it's like
you totally buy you totally buy the idea that Rick has invented this device for Morty.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Rick. He's an evil fucker, and you can tell he's got ulterior motives, and yet I didn't see that coming.
Like, the part where he's pretending that he can't build the thing so that Morty will try harder to persuade him to build it is, this is one of the ones that I think is most worth rewatching. Because with the new context of, Rick, this is a plan that Rick's doing so that he can fuck up Morty's life and traumatize him. Watching the episode back with that context, does change a lot of how you perceive events, and it's a big rewatch. This one.
Oh yeah, totally. Because that's the thing. It doesn't take away from it when you can. It doesn't take anything away when you know what's coming. And that's in terms of as well. That's in terms of the big thing that everyone's going to remember this episode for, like the 7-minute long sequence in the middle, where Morty lives this entire life, finds the love of his life and lives out this romantic fantasy in his life. And I could tell throughout that entire sequence, where we have this beautiful little short film about Morty finding the love of his life and then them getting in a plane crash, and then reuniting at the end of it. I could just throughout that entire sequence, I was just going to be like, and then he's going to use the device, and then that will never have happened.
Yep.
I could see that coming, and yet when it happens, it hits so hard.
I was too immersed in it to predict that. I was just oh, where the fuck is this going?
I could tell it was happening, and I was on the edge of my seat because I was just like, they can't fucking do that, can they? Of course they're going to do that. It's Rick and Morty.
But that's not even the biggest gut punch of the episode.
No, of course not. But it's the bit that people are going to remember, I'd say, because that 7-minute long sequence in the middle there is beautiful, and it's done with no dialogue.
Yeah, it is. It's a gorgeous thing. It's like the beginning of Up.
Yeah, it's Rick and Morty's beginning of Up.
It is. And then I'd say that of the whole season, this is the one that examines the characters the most. You've got what Morty would do with unlimited power, which they actually go quite tame on, considering what they could have done with that. Morty thinking that he could just undo any consequences to his actions. They could go to some very dark places, which they go to some, but they don't really. They don't go to many, which I'm kind of thankful for.
Yeah, because Morty is more believable as a 15-year-old than, say, Cartman is as a 10-year-old.
You
it's
don't
supposed
really...
to be 10. I can't remember.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because Morty is more like an actual 15-year-old than most cartoon characters are supposed to be their ages.
Obviously, because it doesn't actually happen, you don't know what your average person is going to do if they believe that they can do literally anything and then reverse any consequences of it. I feel like most people would do horrible things because it's not horrible because you can undo that. You can undo any wrongdoing.
Well, it depends what's in your nature, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that, like, it's not, for example, true that the only thing that's stopping me from going and, like, massacring thousands of people is that it's against the law. That's obviously not the only thing that's stopping me from doing that. But yeah, I believe that that's what Morty would want to do if he had unlimited power.
But I struggle to think what the average would be. How many people would go and fucking murder a bunch of people, and how many people would just chill out?
Human nature. I suppose I have more faith in human nature than most people, which is quite an achievement looking at the state of the world.
If you can murder a load of people and then undo it, have you done anything wrong?
That's the thing. I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either. But, like, has that person done anything morally wrong?
Yeah, that's the question that gets answered at the end of this episode in the most brutal way possible.
Yeah, so it turns out all of those worlds, like, continue existing after he leaves them. He just disappears from them and then replaces another version of himself somewhere else. And which dies. The other version he replaces dies. And Rick is like, yep, I did this because you made fun of my idea. Fuck you. And you're like, oh. This is an episode I watched when I wanted cheering up. It didn't do that.
It's it's fucking. I do like the idea that they've. It's a very different take on, because you know how the old sci-fi trope is, give someone unlimited power and obviously you've got to have consequences in there because that's how stories work.
It's and in terms of first episode to show someone when you're introducing them to Rick and Morty, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, actually, I'd say not the first one ever. I'd say, because you've obviously got to have that set up where you've obviously got to have it set up that Rick is typically incredibly intelligent and comes up with lots of amazing ideas all the time, and then you've got the setup of Morty thinks that this new one is a bit shit and he's losing it.
I don't know. I feel like you get that set up through the context of what the characters just say to each other. I feel like by watching this episode on its own, you'll probably pick that up.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm wondering if there's some sort of meta element to this because season 3 got a bit more criticism than seasons 1 and 2 did.
This is fucking
So
like Dan
maybe
Harmon going, fuck you.
maybe this is like Dan Harmon going, okay then, okay. You think our recent ones aren't as good? Well, you see, yeah, I'm gonna fucking traumatize the shit out of you.
I like that read.
Yeah, because the fucking ending of this episode is traumatizing. Sorry about the rustling. I'm eating Oreos.
That's allowed. Which episode do you want to do next?
You pick one. I pick this one.
I'm going to pick the first number I saw in chat, which was 4, and we've already done that.
Do a better number, chat. Try harder.
But it was okay. There's a 2 there because someone's name is Support Gaming 2020. Let's do the poop episode.
Oh yeah, the poop episode.
I'm going to say it. I think they took the low brow a little further than was funny.
A little further than normal.
Yeah. There's a whole episode about pooping. I feel
Plus
like...
plus the whole love, plus the whole Tinder app thing.
Oh yeah, that was a weird one. I like that as a B story though. It's very much a, hey, let's fuck with one specific element of society in one very specific way and view the consequences of it. It could have been, you used a little more fleshing out though. I think it could have been an A story.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this is another good use of Jerry. I think the idea that Rick's just got this intern around the house who keeps on asking whether he wants to develop an app, and Jerry's the only one who's like naive enough to say yes.
The alien that's just around the house asking people if they want to develop an app, and there's one naive character is such a fucking like. This is the plot synopsis we would drool over if it was in Big Finish.
Oh yeah, totally. And Rick's just like, there's one thing that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, he's literally got a label on the guy's face.
Do not develop the app.
The poop.
Oh my
plot,
god! I've literally just realised. Do you watch Parks and Recreation?
No, it's been high up on my list for a very long time.
Yeah, there's a character in Parks and Recreation who is the butt of everyone's jokes, who is also called Jerry.
Not allowed. They've ripped it off.
Oh my god! Same universe.
Of
course, they look completely different. Okay, I will not spoil anything about Parks and Recreation. You need to watch it.
Fair enough. Someone put Elon Tusk in the chat. I don't even remember what episode that gag was in.
That was in, what was it? Yeah, as I said, it's impossible. It's really hard to remember what's in which episode.
Oh, that was the heist episode.
Oh yeah, the heist episode. Was that actually Elon Musk?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
So I honestly think this episode would have been much stronger if it was about anything other than pooping. Like, if Rick just likes going out here to read a book. You know, sit on a nice chair in this place and start reading a book. And he finds someone else has been sitting on his chair. The pooping kind of ruins this stuff for me.
That'd be quite... I'm imagining that now. It'd be quite deep and meditative.
Yeah, like, I feel like the show is worried that if there aren't lowbrow jokes in it, that's going to lose the attention of its audience, or at least a subset of its audience.
Oh yeah, that and as I said, I've been watching it uncensored, and it's again. This was the first episode that sort of made me realise, oh, it's uncensored. This is weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit in this episode.
Tons, yeah. Not to say that's a bad thing all the time. It's just a lot, and it's weird for Rick and Morty.
Plus the whole like, we're talking about poop in a context that you wouldn't normally talk about poop is like one of the, as juxtaposition jokes go, is one of the most popular and overdone. Thank you very much. I've just been handed a cookie. Yes, it is. It's like, hey, we juxtaposed a serious situation with the word poop and fart noises. Have you seen that joke before? You have. What?
Yeah, it's like Yeah, I think this is one of the other one of those episodes which wouldn't really look out of place in any other show.
Kind of, but it does use this premise in a really good way to explore its characters. It actually, it actually, it contrasts the poop jokes to the actual depth of the situation that they're in, and the actual, like, you know, they're talking about these very existential things to each other, and it's all about, you know, a disagreement over who gets to poop on the toilet. But they're all talking about life, death, dreams, fears, and all of that, and it's a very Rick and Morty thing to do to make it over something small. Yeah, I would totally love this episode. I mean, I do love this episode, but I'd love it even more if it was about anything that was small other than just pooping. Like, the poop is overdone.
Yeah.
But that's the fact that it's about poop.
The acting's really good though.
The
I enjoyed. What was the name of the guy that played the alien?
No idea.
I don't know, because I recognised his voice from something.
But
then again, I'm always doing that.
the superficial element of this being about poop, I think, is the weakest part.
Yeah, I'd say so.
It could be something. It could be about something that Rick is embarrassed to do because, like, it's his guilty pleasure kind of a thing. He could be, you know, going to.
Then again, what could Rick be embarrassed of?
I feel like, I don't know, if he's going to read something, if he's going to, like, go and read or consume some kind of media that he would view as beneath him, but he likes anyway.
Yeah, that's a point.
Oh, that would add some depth to Rick as well, I think, that because it's not out of character for him. It doesn't contradict anything we know about his character, but it would be a new angle to him. Actually, him being a shy pooper is a new angle to him, but
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
like if he just went to I could totally see Rick being embarrassed that he likes to go and just read, like, funny comic strips from old newspapers or something.
Oh, that's why his voice sounded familiar. Gluty is played by Taika Waititi.
Oh yeah, he is. Wait, would you
There
you meant
we
in the
go.
you meant that's who you were asking about rather than the alien in
Yeah,
this episode? Yeah.
The guy that played the alien in the episode. Yeah, because I don't know, I just quite liked his voice.
I thought you were asking about the alien who poops in Rick's toilet. I could have told you that was Taika Waititi.
Oh,
I was like, I was so excited to find out that Taika Waititi was in Rick and Morty when it happened. But yeah, the exploration of the characters is quite strong in this. It's really strong, I think. But it's all about poop, and I get that's the joke, but I don't like the joke.
yeah, it's compelling. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's a good episode. It's certainly a strong episode. It's just I don't like it personally because the jokes don't land for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was kind of just a B. It was kind of a B episode for me.
Which one do you want to do next?
More.
If you have more thoughts, then I won't cut you off. I
did like the app storyline. It's just it. I think the app storyline could have done with being the entire episode.
You think? You think it could have been an A story rather than
I think it should have been an A story because there is a lot to it. There's the alien intern around the house enticing Jerry into developing his app, them developing the app wreaking havoc, and Summer going off and having this relationship. Beth doesn't want her to have that, and there's all that drama on that side of it. Jerry and Morty going and discovering these aliens. There's a lot to the app story.
Yeah, I agree.
And it could I think it could have. I think they could have explored it in a much more and made it much more global.
You want to see more of the impacts that the app is having on society.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's what I wanted from this episode, and I suppose that's the point actually. That there's this massive story happening on Earth, and then there's this really small story happening with Rick.
If you made it the A story of an episode, would you relegate Rick to the B story, or would you inject Rick into it?
No, I'd relegate Rick to the B story.
I dig it.
Yeah.
He's not. Is there a single episode that puts Rick in the B story? I guess a lot of the time you classify A and B story based on which one has Rick in it, but
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I suppose we're guilty of buying Rick's hide.
but I think that they do pay more attention to the A story in this one anyway. Though I think they normally
Yeah,
pay more
true,
attention to Rick's story. The only one actually, I remember thinking that the what felt like the A story was the one without Rick. Was I can't remember what it's called or what Rick's actual story is in it. I can only remember the story about Rick and Beth's marriage counseling, which is fucking fantastic. It's one of my favorites. You know, where they get the monsters based on their perception of each other.
Oh yeah, that was good.
What's the B story in that? Because it's Rick's story, right? Because he's not in the A story.
I cannot remember.
To be fair, the train episode could have used a joke about the episode not having a B story.
Oh yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, because most Rick and Morty episodes are based are A B stories.
Chat, what was the B story in the marriage counseling episode? Go. Tiny Rick. Oh, it was Tiny Rick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too fond of that.
To be fair, I think Tiny Rick is probably supposed to be the A story. It just doesn't feel like it because it's a lot less. There's a lot less depth to Tiny Rick than there is to the marriage counseling angle.
Yeah, there's less attention paid to it. Trying to think. Okay, let's go with episode 7 next.
Episode 7. 1, 2. Wait. 1, 2, 3.
The face
4,
hugger one.
5. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I mostly just like this one because like we get a sequence where a character which is face hugging Morty and a character which is face hugging Rick start making out.
Oh yeah, the incest is tight in this one.
They go full on slash fic there.
It's made funny by the fact that Justin Roiland is still voicing them both.
Oh yeah, totally.
So yeah, I like this one, but it's not knockout for me. It's just it's another episode of Rick and Morty that is good.
Yeah, that's true. It does have some strong jokes in it.
Glory to Glows. Oh, the 9/11 joke.
Oh yes.
That killed me when I saw that. Just I think it would have been funnier if they didn't go on and acknowledge it afterwards. But the part where they're just blowing up the city, they see the two identical towers, just wide eyes, stop blowing stuff up, drive slowly past, and then carry on blowing stuff up afterwards. It's my favourite joke and like possibly the season.
Yes. Just all of this chaos. Oh, we're not going to do this because it would make our audience feel uncomfortable. As I said, I do love that informal nature of Rick and Morty. That this is a story, but also we know that you're watching this.
Yeah. The plot in this one of them seeing the facehuggers as disposable because they're just these parasites, and then finding out that they've got this sort of essentially full-on society in which they're all individuals, they're all people, and it's not really their fault that their life cycle involves face hugging is a really fun one. I think they could have delved a little deeper into it, but it is a very Rick and Morty plot of we can kill all of these guys, no consequence, because it's, you know, they're just parasites that literally their life cycle involves taking over host bodies, and then they find this shit out. It's such a Rick and Morty premise that I'm surprised it took them this long to do it.
Yeah, and another bit. What was that? What was that bit? It was towards the end where they come back to the planet. They come back to the planet and they get the facehuggers on them again, and Summer has that toothpick in her mouth and she manages to kill the facehuggers.
Well, that's
and
the backstory to it.
Yeah, that's the backstory to it, and then they just go God, God.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and then the other facehuggers start going, "Oh my God, you're just going to go God. You're just going to go God to her. That's so obvious and like the first step."
I do love that because it is
Because
so
because like
clearly
a
established.
because like aliens thinking that a human that walks among them is God is such a trope.
Yeah. Does this one have a B story?
No, not really.
See, I think if
Well, I
this was
mean,
a
well, I mean, it hides it because what Summer's been doing is kind of the B story.
kinda, but they don't really show it at all separate from Rick or Morty. They only get her story
Well, it sort of
when
got it sort of gets intertwined into Rick and Morty's story
that just makes it part
over,
of the A story, Stu.
over the course. Well, yeah, but it has been happening in the background this whole time.
Yeah,
This episode is really oddly structured, and I
yeah.
think that's what I like about it.
Honestly, I think it detracts from it for me because I'm just imagining if this was a season one episode, we would have we'd have a status quo established at the beginning. Then they would go out to their adventure. It might start in the ship, and we establish character first. I think it would be told in order in season one. They didn't do experimental stuff with how they told their stories back then.
Yeah,
And I would have preferred this just told in order. I don't think the structure of it didn't really add anything for me. Why did it improve it for you?
well, I just like the twists and turns that get. I just like twists and turns that like you've been thrown into this story about halfway through it.
Yeah,
Um, you're taking it at face value for the first 10 minutes or so. They get back home and it looks like, oh, the story's over now. That's pretty much it. Crazy Rick and Morty hijinks in space, and then they just sort of then Beth and Jerry prod them into realizing, oh, there's more to it. And then
yeah, I like that.
then they go back and it gets revealed that they haven't really been thinking about Summer this whole time. Summer does get forgotten quite a bit.
So many
I
of the
think that's
characters get forgotten this season.
that is true. Summer does get forgotten quite a bit, and I like that. That's kind of a commentary on that because Summer has played a bigger role in Rick and Morty over the years than the characters and than the fan base would like to admit.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I think she should have more involvement in the main stories.
She's probably my least favorite of the main characters.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy her.
Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like she needs a new arc. She was great in the divorce arc.
Yeah, the way that she was acting out.
Yeah, she just needs something new to cement her as who she is now, and then I'll be back on board the summer train.
Yeah, like we've said with the lack of character arcs this season, Summer's sort of just falling back into the I just want to party and do drugs.
Yeah, which is like literally a joke in one of the episodes. That's what her character is. Should we do that episode next?
Yeah, let's do that.
I thought it was meh.
Yeah, it was a.
I fucked a planet. I'm Planet fucking Rick.
Yeah, hasn't he done that before as well?
What fucked a planet?
Yeah, wasn't there that one where
He's fucked Unity.
Unity? That was it. The one where the one where he fucks the that consciousness.
Yeah. That feels a lot more in keeping with Rick. That's great characterization for him that he's been dating just this hive mind collective life form because it shows how he's been on this plane for such a long time that he views something that most of us would view as a cosmic horror as just sort of like we get along.
Yeah.
I really like that as characterization for him in that season. It's season 2, I think.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah.
In this, it's more just
One thing I did like in this one though was the ending sketch.
the ending sketch was funny. I don't
Yeah,
I don't really like it for Rick's character though. Like he fucks planets. Like that's not really. It's like, what is this, a fetish? Is this? It seems out of left field for him.
yeah, it's
It feels a bit like they invented a new part of his character to poke fun at, rather than like with the Unity episode they played on his existing character, which was also funny because it was such a him thing to do.
yeah. Whereas this is sort of taking the Unity episode and transforming it into something a bit different and a bit further.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's funny. As I said, I do really like that ending sketch where it's like porn but with planets.
it feels like a budget version of the Unity episode. It feels like the Unity episode without the was just sort of a bit shallower. It feels like what a normal cartoon would do instead of the Unity episode.
Yeah, like I did find myself wanting more with this episode
Yeah,
because it's clearly trying to say something about how Rick and Beth would construct a society and how Jerry would construct a society. With this whole the rejects.
yeah. Right? The whole society.
Where Rick like openly says it's the like social media influencers. It's like it's like the people inside the people like us. Yeah. It's like the people inside this city are the people that we deem as worthy. The people that we send outside of the city we deem as unworthy. And Jerry is around to raise these people as raise these people as he sees fit to attack the city, and sees war between the two.
By far the strongest element of this is the society building. I really wish we'd got more of it. Like this could have been an episode where
I like the creatures as well. They're like the way that they're really basic.
they're such a Rick and Morty design for a thing. They remind me of the Meeseeks, but they're not just discount Meeseeks. They are their own thing, but they're very clearly from the mind that brought you the Meeseeks.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're one of the most cartoony aliens that we've had this series.
And they look like toothpaste mascots.
I mean, yeah, cartoony, obviously. But when I say that, I mean like something that a child would draw. Like early Rick and Morty season 1 was more like something that a child would draw, like the slippery stair monster.
Yeah.
It's kind of moving away from that a little bit. Like with Prometheus, it's started to move into more like into more developed sci-fi Star Warsy territory.
Yeah, I do miss the whole. I do miss that angle of it. The whole it's stupid because it's stupid. Fuck it, it's a staircase man.
Hello, I'm Slippery Stair.
And so this episode, honestly, there's some good stuff in it, but I would take out the shit about the god that comes down. I would take out the shit about this being, Rick's kids. I would just have it so that they stumble across this geyser shooting out people for reasons they don't understand, and Beth insists that they help them because they're all like dying on impact, and then they end up building the society for that reason. And then Jerry goes out and builds his camping society with the rejects, and that's the whole story.
Yeah, the whole Rick fucking the planet isn't really that necessary.
It felt kind of like they were going for their new Rick catchphrase, and like I'm Tiny Rick, I'm Pickle Rick, I'm Planet fucking Rick.
Yeah, because like they start out by making out that Beth is driven to do this and is outraged that he could just have more children and leave them, like he had her and left her.
Yes, which is a good
But they
angle.
don't really. It's a good idea, but they don't really go in that direction with it.
Well, I think that's basically her motivation for the whole episode, to stick around and help them, right? I think it comes out.
This episode does try to do lots of things, like Beth and Rick try and raise this society together, and Rick having this filtering system where he filters out people he deems as unworthy that Jerry would want to raise. It doesn't really do much with that. With this war between the two of them. It just sort of then gets distracted by this whole Zeus thing.
Yeah, it sort of just ends. I don't know. The war between them could have been so much better fleshed out. It could have been. It tries to do too much, I think, this one, and as a result, doesn't flesh out any of what it's doing enough. An episode of Rick fighting a god, yeah, that would be great. But it's like 3 minutes of this episode, and it doesn't really flesh it out.
Yeah,
it's fine. It is a fine episode of television.
Yeah, it's fine. It's funny. Killed 20 minutes.
Yeah, but that's so weak for a Rick and Morty episode. Just go, yeah, it was fine. It was funny. It killed 20 minutes.
And that's why I'm thinking that maybe they're making it more within the mind of reruns to be aired in syndication than to be watched.
Well, even though this is
than to be watched compulsively by people on the internet and having all these fan theories coming up about it.
Even though this is one of the weakest of the ones that does that.
Well, to be honest, I think the heist one is the weakest of the ones that does that.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because as I said, I really did tune out of that one. Whereas this one, I was at least invested in Jerry.
I want the show...
Because Jerry is Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland, if you're watching this, more Jerry next year.
You know how intolerable the Pickle Rick meme got?
Year. Oh, yes.
I want the show to go full self-aware on that and have Rick turn himself into a pickle again. And just to be like, I pickle Rick again! Fuck you! Like, that's the actual line. And the whole episode is fully self-aware of how much people hate this now. I want to see that episode.
They do need to do some sort of engagement over that, because it did kind of get ridiculous with like the whole Pickle Rick and the the Szechuan sauce and things.
It's the kind of thing they should acknowledge, because it's a very meta show.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it so much. So
yeah. Okay, what episodes have we got left to do? We've got the Death Crystals episode, the Snake episode, what's this? Oh, we've done that one. And the finale. Let's do the finale. Next, because we can't be doing that last, because that would make sense.
Yeah, that'll make too much sense. Okay, so Star Mort's return, Rick turn of the Jerry.
Yes, Star Mort, Rick turn of the Jerry. A lot of stuff happens in this episode.
Thousands of things.
1,000 things happen in this episode, and you're like, what? Oh! So the season 3 finale has Rick offer to clone Beth if she wants to leave, so that a Beth can stay and look after her family while she goes off on her crazy space adventures. A Beth returns from space and is like, hey, I'm the real Beth. But it's unclear if Rick made a clone and put her on Earth because the real Beth wanted to go to space, or cloned the real Beth and then sent the clone into space because of reasons. That's the premise. It goes a bit nuts.
It does go a bit nuts. And okay, should we do? Should we start with the ending reveal, because that makes the least amount of sense?
Sure.
Yeah, the ending reveal that Rick doesn't know which one's real.
I'm okay with that.
I really like that.
Oh, good.
I really like that, because I think it would have been a bit of a cop out for it to just be revealed that like one is real or one isn't real. I like the idea that he doesn't know.
It's a very Rick thing to do.
because Rick is so obsessed with knowledge and science and knowing things. This is just like this one thing that he can't know.
I would love it if Rick didn't know which one was the clone because he didn't bother to keep track, because it doesn't matter because they're identical. I feel like that would fit within Rick's perspective, that these two Beths are literally going to be identical in every respect. It literally doesn't matter if he keeps track of them or not, because they're the same person in every part. I don't know if I would have preferred that. I like what they did, but I think that would have worked as well, and I would like to see that version.
I think maybe that might be a bridge of cynicism a bit too far.
I don't know. I feel like that's a lot less cynical than a lot of things that Rick does do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't even view it as particularly cynical to go, oh, someone who's identical in every way, literally shares every memory to every detail. It doesn't matter which one's which at the point where they're still the same. I don't know. I don't even think that's particularly cynical.
Well, they are a bit different though, because like that's the whole point. Like he's engineered Beth to have more the clone Beth. Well, clone Beth or maybe not clone Beth, Space Beth to have more of his traits.
No, I thought
Wasn't that
I thought it was that Space Beth got his traits because she went to space essentially, and
because she went
had
to space.
similar
Sorry,
experiences to him.
Remembering.
Yeah. But the episode tries to do something. The Federation comes back. Why? I literally don't remember. I've watched this episode twice now, once in preparation for this. I don't remember why the Federation comes back.
And I don't watch things at all. Well, I watched them once while drinking. The Federation come back because a woman with a very boring name needs to stop them.
I'm still unclear.
That was the joke. It comes on. It comes on the TV. Space Beth comes back.
They follow Space Beth, right?
Space Beth comes back, talks to Rick, and then on the TV, then the TV comes on, and the Federation are invading.
That was a good joke, to be fair. The guy who can't remember Beth's name under threat of death.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That's quality. That's quality comedy right there. So, it brings back all of the.
Yeah, Just I like that. That's the joke, that it doesn't matter.
It brings back all of the. It's the joke that it doesn't matter why they came back. It's just that important that they're there, which is a very meta joke as well. But it makes sense that they would have come back to follow her.
Which is what I love about Rick and Morty, that it's aware of what it's doing.
But
and it knows that the audience knows.
I've lost it. Hang on.
What?
Oh yeah. They bring back all of their big name, the characters that they hype up, the characters that they think the audience cares about, except Evil Morty.
I like that's another way that they're playing with the audience. I like that they have dragged that out for such a long time now, and they didn't really do anything with it.
I'd love it if it just ends up being a punchline.
Yes, I want it to just be a punchline, because people are creating theories and getting so invested in them building up that something's coming. I want it to just turn out to just be a joke.
If Rick just if Evil Morty returns and Rick just shoots him in the like cold open of an episode, and that incites the actual plot for that episode,
and it's just another episode.
Yeah.
I would love that, because that's the thing about this show. It can just say "fuck you" to the audience.
See, I don't feel like Rick, Evil Morty has a great deal more potential than any new character they introduce. What has he been characterized as? He's been characterized as scheming, and that's pretty much it. Because every time we've seen him we've seen him for a long time, every time he's had substantial screen time, he's been in character as someone else. He's been in character as subdued Morty in his first appearance, and then he was in character as virtuous President Morty in his second, And literally the only time we see him actually being himself is when he's going, haha. And he literally doesn't have lines as himself in the first appearance. He looks sinisterly into camera, reveals that it was him controlling evil Rick, and then walks off. No characterization there for who he actually is, other than he concocts plans, yo. And then in the second Evil Morty episode, he gives a sinister speech. In the second one, he gives a sinister speech, and that's all his character. He's an evil dude. That's cool. Thanks, show. But yeah, he's not... It's not as if he's some in-depth character. He's just a guy who plans.
What if Evil Morty is the timeless child?
I would prefer it to who is the timeless child.
That's true.
If in the timeless children, the master turns to the doctor and says, Evil Morty was that child. I don't know how I would have reacted, but I think I would have laughed.
That's how you'd fix it.
I think I actually told the show to fuck off out loud when I saw that, the real one. That's the only time I think I've ever done that.
I just laughed.
I was like, oh, fuck off.
Benny is the war, Morty. But yeah, the finale. So Bird Person comes back, and he's Phoenix Person now.
And Tammy comes back, and she's
Lots of
still
things come back.
Yeah, it's sort of like the philosophy of if we bring things back, it makes it more climactic, which... There is climactic stuff in there, you know, there's real consequences in this episode. It ends with 2 Beths, and it ends with Rick working on Phoenix Person in his garage. But the high-stakes stuff they try to go for isn't the reason that all of that happens, really. I mean, Phoenix Person coming back is the reason that Phoenix Person is there at the end. I will grant you that. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like as high stakes as I think it wants to.
Yeah.
Even though it is very high
I
stakes.
do really like that ending though. Where they leave Rick alone in the garage with Bird Person.
Yeah. And there's 2 Beths on Earth now, which is undoubtedly going to be the next season arc, if they even bother to do it.
Yeah, it's just like all of this stuff happened, and all of this stuff you've been thinking it matters, but it actually doesn't, and Rick's just sort of alone in his garage with Bird Person, who's like a husk of the character that he used to be. It's quite a sad image.
It is. It's a downer ending for the season. And this is the only one that absolutely does not work in any way as a standalone episode of the show.
Out of all the episodes in this season, yeah, totally.
This is full on serialization continuity. They put all of the serialization in this one episode.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got death crystals left, and we've got snakes on a plane left. Snakes on a plane. Snakes. Time travel snakes.
Time travel snakes. Should we do death crystals first? Because we just did the finale, so I think we should do death crystals first.
Death crystals it is. So, I love this one. This one's great. This one, I think, actually might be one of the best ones to show someone who is new to Rick and Morty what the show is all about.
Yeah, because it's a strong high concept. It's ridiculous. It's got lots of jokes. It's got lots of jokes that spawn from it, and it's also horrifically violent.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think this is probably one of the most violent episodes.
Probably? I mean, there's episodes that are just a fight for the whole duration, like the Rick Cherry and Morty date.
No, but in terms of gore, I mean.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the gore in this.
Oh, there's quite a lot of gore in this one.
Oh yeah, with the bees and the wasps as well. This is a dark one. Um,
Yeah, because
so
Rick dies quite a lot as well.
yeah, and it is quite gory most of the times he does. So
Actually, okay, I will admit, chat. Yeah, that assertion I said that Rick is too overpowered was kind of unfair of me because in this one he does fail quite a lot.
he never really fails in significant ways, though. He never actually
That's
fucks stuff up for himself by failing.
that's true, yes, but I do like that in this one we do see Rick kind of vulnerable here. I like all those holograms that are following Morty around.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I think this episode is Rick and Morty at its strongest, which is you take normal, because this one does establish status quo. Basically, you take normal human life, you add into it one absurd sci-fi element that is so far beyond anything that actually exists that it changes the world around it just by virtue of existing. In this case, it is a crystal that when you touch it, you know how you're going to die, or how you're most probably going to die based on your current course of action. It's essentially, it predicts stuff, and by virtue of the prediction, you can change it because you now know information you didn't before.
and it's sort of prodding Morty in the right direction over the course of the episode.
Yeah.
I love how it. Yeah, I love the way that it plays off of how like ever so slightly different changes, like looking in a different direction, can change the entire course of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And I like how it comes to the conclusion that letting letting it guide your every decision is not the right answer, but neither is just fucking about and not giving a shit what's going to happen because of it. Rick is the not giving a shit angle, and he just keeps fucking dying. Morty is literally letting the Death Crystal guide his every single decision so that he can find himself the best death. And obviously the right answer is a healthy balance between those two things. And I like those stories. I like the stories where you get you're shown two extremes, and the correct, so to speak, answer is somewhere down the middle of those two extremes, and the extremes are generally represented by characters. I like that.
Yeah, it's a simple moral conundrum type thing, but it's really funny, and there's lots of incredible images in it.
Yeah.
And there is some nice fan service as well. I really like that bit with the knockoff Meeseeks box. Yeah, that is a really nice joke there, where there's a knockoff Meeseeks box, and you generate the Meeseeks, and it's like, yeah, what do you want?
What I really like this is there's some room for interpretation with what the actual events of the story are. So Morty's crystal shows him the death that Morty wants is dying old with Jessica, right? He wants to spend his life with Jessica, so they grow up together and they die old together, right? That's Morty's ideal death, and he takes literally every decision on the crystal to get to that death. It ends with him going to some weird like anime shit in the middle of some alien planet somewhere, where he like grows, like a plant grows around him, and it
yeah, it's got so far beyond. It's like,
yeah.
How the hell is this going to end with him dying with Jessica?
My interpretation of that is that that's some kind of plant that feeds him like good brain chemicals as he dies. So that's going to be his perception of his death as he's eaten alive by this plant, because it's feeding him his dreams so that he doesn't struggle as it eats him.
And it was more likely, and that is more likely than him ever going out with Jessica.
Oh yeah, it's pretty easy to go and get eaten by a plant. Like,
yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I like that. I like that it's open to interpretation. What the fuck he's even doing? Why that's going on?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, and that's where the gore. That's where the gore happens, and you got like loads of bees exploding out of Rick's head.
Yes. Let's not give any more context to that. So we've got We've got snakes on a plane left. I just need to stop calling it snakes on a plane. It's the time travel snakes. It's another convoluted one.
It's actually called Rattlestar Ricklactica.
Beautiful.
See, rattle because it's in rattlesnakes.
Yeah, that is a kind of snake. So
yeah, I think this is a bit sillier and more like what they used to do.
Yeah, it's
back in the early days, because it's literally just there's a planet with snakes. It's like human society and like with all of human history, but it's just got snakes in it.
This and the heist episode don't need to both exist. Certainly not in the same season. They're both parodies of popular genre films. That this one is a parody of the Terminator franchise, but it's making a point of how convoluted time travel would actually get by having basically someone goes back in time to change something. Before they can change it, someone goes back in time to stop them. Before they can stop them, someone goes back in time to... And it's like, yeah, that's the point. It's convoluted, and it's like, yeah, time travel fucks. It's essentially them looking at the camera and going, this is why we don't do time travel plots. Time travel is no... Time travel fucks everything continuity-wise. It always answers, so why not just travel back in time and change the thing? My favorite and that's my least favorite element of the episode, is the whole time travel aspect. Let's make a deliberately convoluted plot to show how stupid convoluted plots are. That's why I didn't like the heist episode as much, and that's why I don't really like... It's my least favorite part of this one. The snake culture is my favorite part of this one.
Oh yeah, totally. That bit with Snake MIT, where they travel back in time to Snake MIT, and it's just like the 80s but with snakes.
Yeah.
This episode does have lots of really interesting images in it. Like, I do like the snakes writing. Like there's that bit with the snakes writing on the blackboard and in snake language.
It's really cute.
With a sort of snake alphabet. It's cute, silly, and the sort of thing that, as I said before, what Rick and Morty basically is: two kids babbling to each other on a playground about stupid made up shit.
You can pore over the visual details in this one for ages, because there's so much care and attention has been put into Snake Planet. Like, look at the image I've got on screen right now. You've got I think this is from the Nazi snakes. So you've got the big eagle that the Nazis used, but it's a snake. Right, that's just the first basic visual gag. And then down to the stuff there's like snakes coiled around the lamps in the back, down to stuff that is so insanely subtle, like the fact that the door handles are sort of snaky, which I refuse to believe is anything but deliberate.
Yeah, like, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of effort has been put into this.
And it's not just looks amazing as in, it's well animated. It's not particularly well animated. It's Rick and Morty. It is standard animation for an adult cartoon.
It's what it is. It's just all of these background details they put into it.
But so much. There's so many visual gags in this one that you can pore over for ages and pick up. I picked this image not knowing that I would want to say this about this episode. This is just a random episode. Look, there's even curly, wavy patterns on the rug.
Oh yeah, I haven't noticed that.
I picked this not knowing that I was going to want to... This is a random frame from the episode. It's not... I didn't pick this out to make this point. There are better frames with actual, loads of visual gags in them of Snake World. It's great. I love this. I love Snake World. Snake Jazz as well.
Oh, and I love that in the Nazi Germany bit, where they're at Snake Berlin, the swastikas, they sort of look like they've got snake heads.
I didn't notice that. That's how many there are.
The attention to detail that's gone into this episode is kind of astonishing.
The plot is just sort of fine, I think.
Standard Rick and Morty.
It is.
Take a sci-fi trope, deconstruct it fair.
A middling episode of Rick and Morty. It's not... Which means it's good. Which means it's good television. But,
Oh yeah, totally. And it's got an amazing B-plot as well.
Yeah, the B-plot, I think, is the best part of this episode.
Because it's Jerry, and Jerry is Bay.
Yeah. Jerry becomes immune to gravity. Oh, my favorite joke in this episode is when they think Jerry is when I can't even remember it now. Is when someone thinks that Jerry is being racist, but I can't remember. It's like something to do with like he accidentally says like white power or something. I don't remember it, but it's like it's funny. Just it's funny. It's a funny show.
I remember the bit where he's holding on to that boulder in the bar, and he says, "No, I can't put this down. I need to
Yeah.
I
need it to stay on the floor or whatever." And that's peak pathetic Jerry. That's how the show should be making fun of Jerry, I think.
Yeah, I need to hold on to this rock because otherwise I'll float away.
Yeah. Then, yeah, it's just an episode, isn't it?
Yeah. That's I said like with lots of these episodes, lots of these episodes in season 4, they are really good ways to kill time. It's junk food, Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that's what a lot of these episodes are.
It tastes good.
Yeah, so
it's not a substantial meal, but it does taste good.
And so you do have substantial meal episodes in this one, and you have junk food episodes in this one, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I've also got this image you sent me of the episode descriptions when you buy Rick and Morty on
when
YouTube.
you buy Rick and Morty season 4 on YouTube, which I recommend you do, the descriptions of the episode are just peak Rick and Morty. Like, the description for the edge of episode 1 is, Morty gets nuts this time, dog. Morty goes nuts this time, dog. Rick does stuff.
I appreciate the fact that you first read that as Morty gets nuts.
Morty gets nuts, yeah. It's stuff like, lots of twists and turns this time, bro. Wear your helmets. It's like, they just don't give a fuck. And I love how this exists.
Yeah, it's the same with their episode titles, that they don't really seem to give a fuck. It's like, I'll think of a pun, that'll do. Actually, it doesn't really matter, because people like the show anyway. They're not going to be watching.
Look at that there. We all have one thing in common, bro. I don't know, bro. Watch this one. It's like
choo choo, bro. Catch this train, bro.
It's like you wouldn't get a professional animated product just saying, look, here's another one, watch it.
But we've done it now. How do you feel?
Morty gets a dragon in this one, bro. It's a wild ride, bro.
We talked about something that wasn't Doctor Who.
And that's that one, my favourite one. Choo choo, bro. Catch this train, bro.
That one's my favourite as well.
Yeah, easily.
We talked about something that wasn't Doctor Who. The world is ending.
Yay! The world is definitely ending.
And I figured out how to...
Everyone in chat is dead.
I figured out how to do super chats again. It turns out there's just a tab for it. Yep. This was holding me back for a long time.
Everyone in chat, you're all dead and you're in hell right now and you're dreaming this.
That would be a relief.
Hashtag true facts, bro.
This isn't really happening. No, this is This can be happening. This stream, this can be happening. This is fine. I like this stream.
This can be happening. Is Reginald in Nigeria watching?
Reginald in Nigeria in the chat. I want to see you there.
I literally just forgot that I changed my name to that on Twitter.
So we've got super chats. We've got Give Stew money, as always.
Yes, do that.
We've got Kick Rags. Hi Jay. Hello. I personally am glad Normal Life is gone from the show. Normal Life was boring. Screw Normal Life. All my homies hate Normal Life. I gotta disagree. I think that Normal Life provides great juxtaposition from the sci-fi shit. So once you're watching the sci-fi shit...
That's what I loved about Rick and Morty when I first got into it.
Yeah, it makes the sci-fi shit more impactful because there's Normal Life next to it.
Yeah, that's what I think is so funny about Jerry.
Yeah, it makes you care about the characters more as well, you know, establishing status quo. If they had left Normal Life now and they all lived sort of a sci-fi life, that would be fine if they were still providing the same amount of characterization as they did in season 1 and world building, just in terms of what is the word, like small scale world building, where you're just building a character, like a family's life, a family's world rather than a whole setting.
Yeah, just sort of stuff that you can assume.
Yeah. The season finale was kind of cringe. how it tried to be self-aware but ended up to be the opposite. I see where you're coming from. I feel like at points the finale did. It's the finale is the least self-aware I think I've seen Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it did take itself quite seriously. They have started taking themselves a lot more seriously.
I mean, they
Maybe
took
it's 'cause
themselves seriously
maybe it's
for
'cause
the.
fan base are.
They took themselves more seriously for the season 2 finale.
True, yeah.
Uh,
As I said though, maybe it's because the fan base are like Rick, like Evil Morty is kind of a joke. He's just sort of like he's just sort of a walking mystery box, but people are taking it so seriously and like coming up with theories.
So we've got okay. The Ticketmaster's death was epic. Also, hi Jay. Hello. Yeah, I agree. That was a great part of that episode. Stu, agree.
Yes, that was.
Thank you.
Hang on. The description for the finale is parenting is crazy, bro. Stuff straight disappears in this one.
All right. Did someone ask that in chat? Or?
Well, no, I just thought I'd say it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was mean. All right. Okay. Rick fails twice. He didn't beat the god, and he begs him to spare the society he did with Beth, and Beth's have to beat Bird Person. He was losing that fight. Yeah, that's true. Rick fails plenty, but never significantly, really. He always gets bailed out.
Just he's overpowered, I would say.
I mean, that's kind of the point. He should fuck up more for character flaws, I think. He should...
Yeah, in terms of character flaws, yeah.
Bite off more than he can chew and stuff like that. Yeah, he should... I think that's perfect for him. He should bite off more than he can chew. And... You know, fail as a direct result of that, and the show addresses the fact that he basically thinks he's a god and isn't really. That's a great way to put him down a peg, I think. We've got... Why is your profile picture a Karen now? Well... I mean, the real story behind my profile picture is that I'm thinking I might be trans. There's a good chance of that. So I got a nice female avatar drawn, and I like it a lot. It makes me happy. Makes me comfortable.
I'm unsure about this Karen meme. I know a Karen, and she's nice.
Poor Karen.
Yeah.
You can go by Carrie, I guess. That's a name. She has to change her name because of a meme. There's a lot of name-based memes, though.
Where did the meme even come from?
Oh, I think it's just based on stereotypes, right? It's like, you know, if you have a middle-aged woman who has that certain haircut and, like...
Yeah, but can't we have this? Can't we give this woman a different name, like one that barely anyone has? Because I know lots of Karens.
But stereotypes don't get formed around obscure names because not enough people have them. Like, there's no stereotypical Keanu. We only know of one Keanu.
No, but there's other names like what's no one called anymore except from little old ladies like Beryl.
Sure.
You're being such a Beryl right now.
That would be an old woman stereotype, though.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. Okay, I'm talking bollocks.
But the Karen meme. I feel sorry for people called like Chad.
Oh yeah.
Chad is inseparable from the meme now. If I was called Chad, I would just have to, you know, like come up with a nickname or something. I feel. It's almost insane. I feel sorry for anyone called Chad who is not the archetypical Chad, because they're going to get compared to the archetypical Chad.
Call yourself Chunt. I think Chunt is a suitable substitute for Chad.
I would call myself Chunt. Right, and we've got we've got one more. Haha, take my money, dork. Thank you. That's very kind. And that's it. We've done it. We did the thing.
We did the thing. We were talking about Rick and Morty for 2 hours.
That was a lot more coherent than it could have been.
That is true. I've been drinking.
I've been drinking as well. I had a Scottish gin and tonic.
And I had cider.
A Scottish gin and tonic, by the way, is just gin. For anyone wondering in chat. I think that joke is funny, and maybe someone watching at home does as well. Statistically, there are 300 of them, so...
Is the gin deep fried?
Oh, it would be if I could. Right, so...
I'm sorry to the people of Scotland for making fun of the stereotype.
It's fine. It's a stereotype based on truth. It didn't take me long living in Scotland to eat a deep fried pizza.
Oh god, what's that like?
It's the most sickly piece of food I've ever tasted, but like you're compelled to eat more of it.
Oh god, that'll be like fried bread on steroids.
Oh, well, fried bread makes me nauseous. I can't eat fried bread, but I could eat the deep fried pizza. But like you feel sick for several days afterwards. That's not a joke. Like you do.
Why do I want to try this now? What is wrong with
Right?
me?
Right? Like my stomach felt uncomfortable for like a solid 3 days after eating that. Possibly 2, maybe I'm exaggerating my memory here, but it was certainly more than 1. Could have been 1.5. But definitely
Stop
more than
wanting
1.
to try it, brain.
I know
Right, won't
that
get
people
out.
are going to try that because of this. But we've done
yeah,
our show
I think
again.
We're done, aren't we?
But yeah, we could be back eventually to do Dalek next. That's the plan, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And that's that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, they can't hear us anymore.